Gentlemen, let's talk about something crucial today. When a woman disrespects you, ignores you, belittles you, or takes you for granted, most men react emotionally. They argue, beg, or try to prove their worth. And that is exactly why they lose even more respect. Real strength isn't loud. Real power doesn't need to scream. The most effective response is silence, composure, and action. Here are 5 silent moves that will make any woman think twice about ever disrespecting you again, and possibly regret doing it in the first place. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you will ever have as a man, and yet it's the tool most men are terrified to use. Most people think that when they are disrespected, they need to react, they need to correct the behavior, explain their side, make the other person understand what they've done wrong. But what if I told you that doing so actually weakens you? Here's the truth. When you explain yourself to someone who has disrespected you, you hand them your power. You're saying your opinion matters so much to me that I need to defend myself. You're teaching them that they can control your emotions with a few words or actions. And that is exactly why they keep doing it. The man who can sit with silence is the man who is in control. He doesn't rush to defend his honor with words because he knows his honor is not up for debate. He doesn't need to be understood to know who he is. This is what separates men who command respect from those who chase after it. Silence does something very powerful to the human mind. It creates space, and space makes people uncomfortable. When you go quiet, the person who disrespected you starts thinking. They replay the moment. They wonder why you didn't respond, why you didn't get angry, why you didn't fight back. And the longer you stay silent, the more they feel the weight of their own behavior. You see, disrespect often comes from a place of assumption, an assumption that you will react, that you will chase, that you will try to fix things. When you don't, you disrupt the script in their head. They were expecting drama, tears, arguments, maybe even a shouting match. Instead, they get nothing. That nothing speaks volumes. This doesn't mean you ignore every situation or allow people to mistreat you without consequence. Silence is not about being passive. It's about being intentional. There's a difference between ignoring something because you're afraid of confrontation and choosing not to engage because you value your peace more. The latter is strength. Think about the last time someone insulted you or treated you poorly. If you argued back, what happened? Chances are it escalated. They got louder, you got louder, and in the end, no one walked away feeling respected. But when you stay calm, when you don't react, the tension doesn't escalate, it settles. You remain in control of the moment, and that is incredibly powerful. Silence also gives you something else that is invaluable, time to think. When you react immediately, you act from emotion, not reason. You say things you might regret. You over-explain, you justify. But when you stay quiet, you give yourself the gift of perspective. You can process what happened, decide how you truly feel, and choose the best course of action instead of being dragged into someone else's emotional storm. And let's be honest, in relationships, especially with women, silence has a special effect. Women are used to men chasing, apologizing, proving themselves. When you don't do that, when you simply stop engaging and focus on your own life, it creates a kind of magnetic tension. She starts to question herself. Did she go too far? Did she lose you? Why aren't you fighting to get her attention? That moment of self-reflection is often where regret begins. She realizes that the disrespect cost her something valuable, your energy, your presence, your attention. And that realization is far more powerful than anything you could have said in the heat of the moment. But make no mistake, silence only works when it's backed by genuine self-respect. If you're using silence as a game, just waiting for her to chase you so you can feel validated, it will show true silence comes from a place of inner calm, from knowing you don't need to prove anything to anyone. When you choose silence, you are sending a message, not just to her, but to yourself, that you value your dignity over instant gratification, that you refuse to let someone's moment of disrespect pull you out of your character, that you know your worth so deeply you don't have to say a single word to defend it. So the next time you're faced with disrespect, resist the urge to explain, argue, or prove yourself. Sit with the discomfort, hold your ground, let your silence do the talking, because in the end it will speak louder, cut deeper, and create more reflection than any angry words ever could. One of the hardest lessons a man will ever learn is the power of walking away, not in anger, not with bitterness, not as a dramatic display, but with quiet, deliberate strength. Most men stay too long in situations where they are disrespected because they fear losing what they have. They believe that walking away means they have lost. But the truth is that walking away is often the first real victory you'll ever have in life. Walking away doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you didn't love. It doesn't even mean you've given up. It means you've chosen yourself over the chaos. It means you've decided that your dignity is worth more than staying where you were not valued. And that decision is one of the most attractive, most magnetic things you can ever do. Most men try to fix things with words. They argue, they explain, they plead, but words often make things worse because they give away your power. People can dismiss words, ignore them, or twist them, but they cannot ignore your absence. When you remove yourself, the other person is forced to face the empty space you leave behind. This isn't about punishing anyone. This is about respecting yourself enough to say, if you cannot treat me right, I will not participate. And here's the key. You do it without drama, not with yelling, not with slamming doors, not with social media posts or emotional ultimatums, quietly, calmly, with composure. Because the goal is not to make a scene. The goal is to create a shift in you and in them. When you walk away with grace, you communicate that your presence was a privilege, not a right. You show that you will not compete for respect or beg for basic decency. This creates a very deep moment of reflection for the person who disrespected you. They may not admit it right away. They may even get defensive at first. But when the noise fades, the silence you left behind starts to speak. Think about it. When someone argues with you, it's easy to focus on the argument. But when someone simply leaves, when they refuse to engage in conflict, all you're left with are your own thoughts. That is when the regret begins to grow. Walking away gracefully also protects your own energy. Instead of wasting hours or days in an emotional battlefield, you redirect that time into something meaningful. You hit the gym, you read, you build your business, you spend time with people who uplift you. Every step you take in this new direction reminds you that you are capable of living without the chaos you just left behind. It is this combination, the calm exit, the personal growth that follows, that makes walking away so powerful. You're not just leaving the situation, you're leaving the version of yourself that tolerated it. You're stepping into a stronger, wiser, more disciplined version of who you are. And yes, this often triggers regret in the person who disrespected you. Not because you were playing games, but because your absence becomes undeniable proof that you meant what you said about valuing yourself. You didn't just talk about self-respect, you acted on it, and nothing communicates strength more clearly than action. But here's where many men get it wrong. They walk away physically, but stay emotionally tied. They check her social media. They ask friends about her. They secretly hope she'll call. That's not walking away. True walking away is mental, emotional, and spiritual. You don't just leave the room. You leave the argument in your mind. You stop replaying the disrespect. You stop waiting for an apology. You let go. This doesn't mean you turn your heart there. It doesn't mean you become cold or stop caring about people. It simply means you no longer let anyone hold the keys to your peace of mind. You take full responsibility for your happiness, your progress, your future. When you do this, something remarkable happens. You no longer fear losing people because you trust yourself to rebuild, to grow, to thrive, no matter what. And that kind of confidence is magnetic. People are drawn to those who can walk away and still stand tall. Walking away gracefully is not easy. It takes self-control. It takes patience. It takes courage. But once you learn how to do it, it changes your entire life. You stop tolerating situations that drain you. You stop accepting crumbs of respect, and you start living as a man who knows exactly what he is worth. So the next time someone disrespects you or treats you as though you are replaceable, don't fight for their attention. Don't try to make them see your value, show them by walking away, show them that your dignity matters more than staying where you're not appreciated. Because walking away is not the end. It's the beginning of a life where you are no longer at the mercy of anyone else's behavior. The beginning of a future where you stand tall, speak less, and live more. After you've chosen silence and walked away with grace, there is one more move that will transform everything. You level up and you do it quietly. Most men make a critical mistake at this stage. They try to prove something. They start posting pictures, showing off, broadcasting every small win to get a reaction. That is not leveling up. That is seeking validation. Real power does not seek validation. Real growth does not need an audience. Leveling up in silence is about becoming a man who doesn't need to say a word to be noticed. It is about building a life that speaks for itself. And the beauty of doing it quietly is that no one sees it coming. There's no warning, no announcement. One day they simply notice you are no longer the same man they knew. This is the stage where you take all the energy you are pouring into other people, into arguments, into begging for respect, into trying to be understood, and you redirect it into yourself. You take that energy to the gym and build a body that shows discipline. You take it to your work, your studies, your craft, and build a future that cannot be taken from you. You start focusing on your finances, not to impress anyone, but so that no one ever has power over you again. Money gives you options. Options give you freedom. Freedom gives you confidence, and confidence changes the way you move through the world. You level up your mindset. You stop chasing distractions. You start reading, learning, surrounding yourself with better influences. You start speaking differently, carrying yourself differently. You no longer entertain petty drama because you are too busy building. And here's the crucial part. You do all of this without announcing it. You do it quietly. Because when you talk too much about what you're building, you invite opinions, doubts, and interference. But when you work in silence, you keep all the power. You are free to grow without being watched, free to make mistakes without being judged, free to surprise everyone later. Silence during this stage is what creates the most powerful effect later. The woman who disrespected you, or anyone else who doubted you, will not see the transformation step by step. They won't have time to get used to it. Instead, one day, they will look at you and realize you have completely outgrown the man they thought they knew. And that realization is where regret often hits the hardest, because you didn't try to convince them. You didn't argue. You didn't beg. You didn't seek revenge. You simply became better. That contrast between who you were when they disrespected you and who you are now is undeniable. But the real win is not that they regret losing you. The real win is that you no longer care whether they regret it, because by leveling up, you've shifted the focus entirely. You are no longer living in reaction to someone's disrespect. You are living for yourself. This stage is also where you develop something rare, self-respect that cannot be shaken. When you've seen what you're capable of, when you've pushed yourself through discipline, when you've built something with your own hands, your sense of worth becomes rooted in something real. And that kind of man does not tolerate disrespect ever again. This process takes time, and that's a good thing. Growth that happens too quickly rarely lasts. Let the silence become your training ground. Let every day be a quiet investment into your future. You don't have to change everything at once. Start with one thing, your health, your money, your discipline, and keep going. There will be moments where you feel lonely. There will be moments where you wonder if it's even worth it. That is where you must remind yourself why you started. You are not just leveling up to impress anyone. You are leveling up because you refuse to stay the same man who tolerated what broke you. The beauty of leveling up in silence is that it keeps you focused on the process, not the applause. You stop caring who is watching. You stop caring who notices. And when you no longer care, that is when you become truly free. And here's the final truth. When you level up quietly, you don't just make others regret disrespecting you. You make yourself proud. You create a life that doesn't need anyone's approval. You build a man you can respect every time you look in the mirror. And that is the ultimate revenge, not words, not arguments, not proving a point, just a quiet, undeniable transformation that cannot be ignored. So focus, build, improve yourself in silence. Let the results do all the talking. One day they'll realize what they lost, but by then you'll be so far ahead you won't even stop to look back. One of the most powerful things you can ever do as a man is to stay calm when the world expects you to break, when someone disrespects you, when a relationship ends, when you're provoked. Everyone expects you to react. They expect anger, shouting, accusations, emotional outbursts. And that is exactly why emotional composure is so rare and so respected. What's the man who keeps his emotional control shows a kind of strength that cannot be faked. You see, anyone can act tough when things are easy. Anyone can speak confidently when no one is challenging them. But when you are disrespected, when your pride is hurt, when your feelings are burning inside you, that is when your true character is revealed. Most men fail at this point because they think strength means fighting back. They think if they don't react, they look weak. But in reality, reacting emotionally is the easiest thing in the world. Anyone can lose their temper. Anyone can send an angry message or slam a door. It takes no discipline to do that. What takes real discipline is sitting in that moment and breathing through it. What takes real strength is keeping your voice calm, your face steady, your words measured. Emotional composure is not about pretending you don't feel anything. It's about refusing to let your feelings control you. And this is exactly what makes people respect you. When you don't lose your cool, you send a message that you are not at the mercy of anyone's behavior. You are in control of yourself. You cannot be manipulated, provoked, or pulled into drama. This is why composure is so powerful, because it makes other people rethink how they deal with you. If someone disrespects you and you explode, they know exactly how to push your buttons. They know they can control your emotional state. But if you remain calm, they are left unsettled. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, what you might do next. And most importantly, they have to sit with the weight of their own actions because you did not take the emotional burden away from them by blowing up. Composure also protects your dignity. Imagine shouting, begging, or pleading with someone who has already disrespected you. Afterward, you feel worse, not better. You feel like you gave away a piece of yourself. But when you stay calm, when you refuse to let the situation break you, you walk away with your pride intact. This does not mean you suppress your feelings or become emotionless. It simply means you handle your emotions privately with intention. You journal, you work out, you talk to a trusted friend, you pray, you let the emotions move through you in a healthy way, but you do not let them leak out in a way that lowers your value in the eyes of others. In relationships, this kind of composure is rare and it is magnetic. Women are used to seeing men fight for attention, blow up in anger, or collapse into begging. When you don't do any of that, when you hold your frame and stay steady, it commands respect. It shows her that you are a man she cannot shake easily. But the biggest benefit of emotional control is not how it affects others, it's how it transforms you. When you stay calm, you think clearly, you make better decisions, you avoid saying things you can't take back, you maintain focus on what really matters instead of getting pulled into unnecessary conflict. This level of self-mastery takes practice. You won't get it perfect every time. There will be moments when you slip, when you react before you think. That's normal. What matters is that you keep training yourself to pause before responding. You count to 10. You take a walk. You sleep on it before sending that text. Over time, these small habits create a man who is unshakable. And here is the paradox. The calmer you become, the stronger you appear. People may not say it out loud, but they feel it. Your presence becomes grounding. You no longer look like a man who is desperate for control because you already have control of yourself. And nothing makes a disrespectful person regret their actions faster than seeing you remain calm while they lose control. Your composure becomes a mirror, forcing them to face their own chaos. Often this is where they begin to reflect, to rethink, to regret. But even if they never regret it, even if they never apologize, you still win because you never betrayed yourself. You never lowered your standards. You kept your power. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this. Staying calm is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. It shows that you are no longer ruled by emotion, that you have outgrown the need to prove yourself through anger. Hold your ground, breathe, speak less. Let your composure become the thing that teaches everyone around you how a man with self-respect behaves. Once you have stayed silent, walked away, leveled up, and kept your composure, there is one final step that completes the transformation. You replace her energy with something better. This is the stage that so many men overlook. They do everything else right. They go silent, they leave the situation, they start working on themselves, but inside they are still living in the past. They still check her social media. They still replay the arguments in their head. They still measure their progress by whether she notices. And as long as you do that, you are still tied to her energy. Replacing her energy doesn't mean finding another woman as quickly as possible. It doesn't mean distracting yourself with dating apps or chasing validation somewhere else. It means filling your life with things that nourish you, things that grow you, things that bring you peace, because peace is the ultimate replacement for chaos. Start with your purpose. Every man needs something bigger than himself to live for, a mission that keeps him moving forward. This might be your career, your business, your studies, a creative pursuit, or even a calling to serve others. When you pour yourself into something meaningful, you stop obsessing over what you lost because you are too busy building something new. Next, replace her energy with strong, positive connections. Many men isolate themselves after being disrespected, sitting alone with their pain. Don't do that. Find good friends, mentors, or communities where you are supported and challenged to grow. The right people will remind you of who you are when you forget. They will help you stay focused on the bigger picture. Replace her energy with new experiences. Travel, learn new skills, try things you always said you didn't have time for. The more newness you bring into your life, the less space there is for old memories to control you. Every experience reminds you that there is more to life than what happened in the past. Replace her energy with progress. Track your growth, not for her, not to show anyone, but for yourself. Celebrate small wins. The first time you say no to something that drains you. The first time you invest instead of spending recklessly. The first time you look in the mirror and see real physical change. Every bit of progress adds a layer to your confidence. And perhaps most importantly, replace her energy with gratitude. Gratitude for the lesson, gratitude for the pain that forced you to grow, gratitude for the chance to rebuild. When you are thankful, even for what hurt you, you take away its power to control you. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as a man who was refined by fire. The beauty of this step is that it doesn't just make her regret losing you. It makes you genuinely glad you moved on. You stop wishing she would call. You stop wondering if she will come back because you no longer need her energy in your life to feel whole. You've created a life that is rich on its own. And yes, when she sees you living fully, when she sees you laughing again, thriving again, surrounded by good people and a good energy, that's when the regret hits her the hardest. Not because you tried to make her feel bad, but because your peace is undeniable. Your happiness is no longer tied to her approval. But even if she never sees it, even if she never regrets it, you win because you've learned the most important lesson of all, that your life is too valuable to be wasted on resentment, bitterness, or chasing someone who disrespected you. Replacing her energy is the moment where you truly step into freedom. You stop living reactively. You stop measuring yourself by what she thinks, says, or does. You are no longer defined by her actions. You are defined by your own. This is where your story becomes bigger than the disrespect that started it all. You are no longer the man who was hurt. You are the man who rebuilt, the man who turned pain into purpose, the man who can look back and say, that situation made me better. So do not sit in the empty space she left behind. Fill it with strength, fill it with purpose, fill it with people, passions, and habits that bring out the best version of you. The energy you choose now will determine the life you live next. And when you choose peace, progress, and purpose, you will never again feel the need to chase anyone's attention, because the life you build will be too fulfilling, too rich, too meaningful to ever go back to where you once were. Replace her energy and watch how your entire future changes.